Hello, I am Witch Nikki, and I didn't get very far on this little project I was doing, so I thought I would do a little bit more. Today, I questioned a school that my granddaughter Ginger goes to because I didn't see anything on their calendar for the month of February here relating to Black History Month. I got a call back from one of the assistant principals who told me they did indeed have some things planned for African history. Now, there's nothing wrong with the neighborhood I'm in, but it is predominantly I don't want to say Hispanic. People might get upset about that. Latinx, both genders I hear. Latino and Latina and Latinx. I don't know when that one got put into the mix, but anyways, that's how I've been seeing it a lot lately. And I don't know if it's for, I don't know what it's for, but I guess it kind of like classifies like Native American or American Indian, kind of classifies everybody, all the tribes in one specification. And I think it's good to let everybody know if there's different parts of the world that you're from, whether it's Africa, Mexico, Central America, South America, North America, Canada, because there's all kinds of there's American Indians, Native Americans, indigenous, what are some of the other ones that, there's just so many. Because I guess like for a while, when they use one term, it kind of like, oh, okay, this, how about this? Okay, great. Because there was some terms way back in the day, and even during my time, that some of the terms back in those days were norm, okay? But if you said them now, they're insulting. Sorry. I've been outside working and kind of dry and dusty. Been working out in the backyard. So, what do you do when you use a term that it seemed to be okay back then, but now some terms are terrible, and some terms are okay if they're used in the right way by the right people, and some of those same words better not be used by anybody of light skin. Okay, now I know that you're probably going, but you look pretty light skinned. Yes, I do. Well, my background is mixed. I do have Cherokee and I do have Irish. One of my daughters, I won't say who, did a DNA test and found that there was different Asian types, which I knew one was Japanese, but it also had African American. So her sisters were kind of making fun of that a little bit. Well, maybe one kind of was. I don't know. um, I already spoke to them about that, and it's something I guess I feel comfortable talking about. I don't care what is mixed, what made my body, what made my bones, what made my blood, what made my hair, what made my eyes, what made me short, what made me roundish, what made me light-skinned. You know what I mean? I just don't care anymore. A long time ago, it seemed like it mattered to my mom to keep it a secret that if we were light-skinned enough, we should just pass for being Caucasian or white. Whatever term makes you feel comfortable, then put it into place. Don't get mad at me because I might not be up on all the new terms of what we call each other. I'm a human, and I'm a multi-raced human being. Okay, and no, I did not cheat or have any affair. So sometimes what you see as two parents, there might be a mix from the other relations in the family somewhere. So is it really important that we go out and get a DNA test to prove how much blood quantum we have? Does anybody else do that? Or just Native American people? Just a question. I ponder a lot of stuff that I just can't get enough answers of sitting here at home. So I'm asking, do any of you have to prove what type of blood you have and how much of a quantum of blood that you have, or whatever it's called? Okay. My grandma never did. My mom never did. They just knew that they were Native American, and they knew that they were being hated and bullied, punished. My mom was severely punished for even speaking a few little Cherokee words with her brother, my uncle. After my grandma died before I was born, when my mom was very young, about 5 years old, her mom died, and my grandpa, who is Irish, and I believe he's first generation, but he could have had, he's gone now too, but he could have had a mixture. We all could have a mixture. I don't think there's anybody, and prove me wrong. Show me if you want. I don't really care, but go out and find your DNA and tell me how much is 100% whatever. Just 100%. You're all pure blood of something. Give me a break. I don't believe that for a minute, any more than I believe that there was Jewish-made laser beams shooting lasers at California and making forest fires. Come on. We originated in Africa. All of us. The earliest human beings were, their remains and artifacts and stuff were found in Africa. Parts of Africa. I've mentioned this before too, because it's something that's constantly on my mind. That they moved around, and there were probably other people around too. And I don't really even know. I don't get it. How if the earliest man that was found, human, that was found, was in Africa. How come, where were the other people? How did everybody get mixed? How did mixes get thrown into it? And maybe at some point early there was mixes. But it's really weird, isn't it? How does the first one? Here's the first one, human. Had to have been two. And please don't give me any of that Adam and Eve baloney, okay? We all just know that that's fiction. It is. Because you just have to look at the facts. You have to look at science somewhere along the way there. And it does not fit in. It's a good book. It's interesting. Your Bible, for most people, it's very interesting. I'm not doubting it, but there were these people, and they wrote about what was going on around them. They didn't have any TV, no radios, no mail system. They might have taken message by some form of animal from one place to another. I don't want to sound bad or anything. It could have been horses, it could have been camels, who knows what it was. Oxen, who knows. Donkeys, who knows what it was. But they could have sent messages. Let's send a message to this town. Well, who really knows? Okay? They've done a lot of studying and exploring and stuff like that. And I'm not really too sure that we should be digging up human remains to study them. And why did they die? And how did they live? Study what we have here, now. Because that is what we're dealing with. Sure, somebody along the way might have had, maybe somebody did have COVID thousands of years ago. What if they did? There's no more blood left in them to find out one way or another if they did. I don't know how they would be able to find it out unless they found a very dormant cell in, I don't know. I just don't know. Anyways, this is the beginning of African American or Black History Month. Okay? And I think two things. One, it's wonderful, but like we have Native American Heritage Month, okay? First of all, why are we having African American or Black History Month? And then for the Native Americans, we're having Native American Heritage Month. You see the difference? Are we not going to bring up the history? Or what? Just questions that go through my head. Questions that go through my head. What do you think when you're by yourself doing whatever? And I sit here, and do you think I just meditate as I'm putting together these earrings and stuff, and I look at what I'm doing, but sometimes what's going through my head is I wonder, how did this happen, or how did that happen? Even when I was a kid, I always wondered. I'm looking at this now because now I forgot which pattern I was doing with this. Okay. When I was about 11. I was in 5th grade going into the 6th grade. So I was actually about 10. And then, yeah, so I was in the 5th grade just before they moved me over to another school for middle school. I'm just going to, sorry, I'm kind of gabbing and going on here. So the last one was pink, so I'm going to go with the purple. And I think I'm just going to do that. Just alternate them. What I like about this kind is that of wire, you can almost use it like the needle. See? It goes on easy. Easy peasy. Oh, talking about, I'll just keep putting these on as I'm talking, and it has nothing to do with this. It has to do with introduction of an African American person into my life. How old I was before I got to know any African American people, at least a person. My teacher, and I long forgot her name. I wish I had remembered, because she is a part of this happening in my life, and I was actually the only child in the class that was able to get permission from a parent to write and be pen pals with an African American child at another school. I was in California, and the other school teacher was friends with my teacher. And if I did research, I could probably figure out who was my 5th grade teacher, but I'd have to do some research. And I don't know if I could get anything done right now. It matters, but it kind of doesn't matter. The thing is, she asked the class if anybody wanted to write too. It was completely volunteer, no extra credit, really. But my mom said, sure. But she told me, don't let your dad, even though he was my stepdad, she always just called him your dad. Don't let your dad know that you're writing to this person. Just go ahead and do it. We gave our names and addresses to our teacher, and she sent them to her friend, another school teacher in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I became pen pals in secret, except only my mom knew. But I'd get a letter, and she would just say, oh, it's just a pen pal in Pittsburgh. It's for a school report or something like that, she said. So that my dad wouldn't ask a bunch of questions about why I was getting mail from somebody he didn't know. Well, we became friends. And I don't even know now. We wrote to each other through the 5th grade, the 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade, all the way through high school. After that, we met because my aunt thought it was wonderful that I had a pen pal that I had never met and wrote all these years to. And her parents thought it was be a nice present for us me to go there and meet her and stay a week-ish, and then for her to come back with me and stay a week-ish. I'll get to that later. But so we did that, and we met each other, and things happened, after that, after she went home, and I got married to my first husband, who was my boyfriend at the time. I'm not going to name any names, but he really never, let me just say it this way. He had certain beliefs about people of different colors. Okay. I didn't. My dad did. But I didn't let that stop me or bother me or affect me or infect me. Either way, I just thought it was wrong. The other thing that I kind of thought when I was going through this, because I knew, my friend in high school, all the way through growing up, I had not met one black person, not one black student, not one black person in my whole life, until I was about 10. That's when I met her. Well, we actually met, but we wrote letters when I was from age 10 to a little bit after school. So I had just turned 18 when I decided I was going to get married, and I moved from my mom's house, and she didn't write. She wrote to me a little bit, but not too much. I guess she got busy in her life too. But pretty soon after that, I didn't hear from her anymore. So back in those days, we did not have, all we had was regular old mail and telephones. So because I had changed my phone number and stuff, I think I had given her my phone number, but that was so many years ago. So we lost contact, basically. And then, sometime after we started getting computers and stuff, started wondering. I didn't know right away that you could look up people and find out where they were or anything about it. Not for a while, not for a long while. So it was probably about in the 2000s when I finally decided, hey, I wonder if I do a search, will I find her? Well, I never did. Sometimes I would find a person by that name, Karen Robinson, just in case this gets out there to anybody who knows her. She would be my age, 61. That's basically it. I don't remember her address too much, except recently, just the other day, in fact, I was searching for her. And you know how sometimes you put down a search, the name, and maybe last known city or state that they lived in. So I did that and came up an address that I wasn't really too sure about the number, but the street was Elizabeth Street. And that kind of woke up something in me that kind of said, that seems familiar, but I could be totally wrong. So I'm just kind of continuing to do this here, talking over my thoughts. So anyways, the school did have things planned. They have like a little video that they play. Um, I think it's once a week or something. So I guess the key here is for me to just be patient. Because it is, after all, the 2nd of February. Where was my mind? Like, give them a chance. It is COVID time, so people aren't doing as much as they had been in the, in the past and stuff. I mean, goodness, we didn't even have the Rose Bowl parade this year. So that's why I'm kind of upset about that too, because here we have football, and we're having what's it called? The Rose Bowl football. I don't know. I don't know nothing about football, but we're having it. The big bowl of football. I don't know. I'm not stupid. It's just that I just don't know because I never really liked football. I don't care. It's not the great American pastime. It's been adopted as the great American pastime, and baseball and all sports. Anything with balls and a stick or something, hitting them, chasing them. I don't know. I'm not interested, okay? So sue me. Well, don't, but what are you gonna call me? Sportsist? Sportsism? I don't know. So I think a little bit more. I guess I should have done a little bit more. Well, I think this will go. But you see, it's not just going all the way around like that. I'm twisting it around this. And it's kind of tricky because I have to kind of push the beads closer together. And it's okay if they kind of come apart a little bit. I mean, see? So yeah, I did a search and I saw that name of the street. And you know how when you look at maps and it shows you the terrain view of it, and you could see what it looks like from, up above or something. Well, the house did kind of look familiar too. It was in kind of not really a cul-de-sac, but it was like there was like a turn in the road. It wasn't just like most blocks are straight. Well, not most, but like that. This one kind of had like a curve in the road, and there was like a brick house there, kind of off to the side. There was like they had a road up to their from their driveway and stuff like that. They had a really nice house, 2-story house, and I was impressed by that. Not because she was black and they had 2-story. I just, ever since I was a kid, since we lived on a one single-story house, anywhere I went that had a 2nd story, my sister and I used to call it upstairs. They have an upstairs. And so it was just interesting to me that there was an upstairs there. People lived in upstairs. Any kind of person that had that kind of a house, it was just special, because in my neighborhood there wasn't any. There was only single-story houses. So yeah, I went to go visit her, and some of that didn't turn out very good, and I wanted to come back home. And it wasn't really her fault, and it's very personal. Um, it's not anything racial. It's just that she left me with somebody that she shouldn't have left me, and that turned out bad. And so I don't really want to go there with that right now and talk about it openly. But that's all I could say about that. She did come back with me when we went back to California, but she didn't stay there very long either. And I think it had to do with my dad's. My dad did not treat her bad, but he didn't treat her good either. And she could tell. I showed her where my room is, and he could just she could hear him talking. You never told me that she was black. How could you do this and keep this from me and blah, blah, blah. I remember going to my room after she'd been in there, and I just felt terrible. I could feel my face burning with embarrassment and anger. Why was he so stupid to say stuff like that and think things like that? Whatever it is that I have, I wish people could take that out somehow. Not all of it, but just enough of whatever it is, and inject it in every person and make racism go away, because it's terrible. It feels terrible no matter which side of the racial wall you're on. And like I was saying about my mom, just kind of kept it a secret from us that we had Cherokee in us. It might be a very, very small, minute amount, and like I said, I haven't gone to check, and I'm not going to. Usually kind of do that kind of thing to make sure that animals are purebred. If you want a purebred animal, that's pretty close to what I think of that. There's no important reason really to find out DNA, except if you're going to have some kind of transplant or something to make sure that you're compatible with another person. It's important to find out crime scenes, who did it, that kind of thing. But to find out how much race you are, how pure your race is, I just don't see any point in it. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. I'll probably go out of this world not knowing. I know what I am in spirit. I know my spirit does not have DNA, but I know that my spirit has lived in different situations or different lifetimes, and I've had different backgrounds. I've had different memories of living in different lives. So I just wanted to kind of just keep going on this. 34 minutes and plus. So to tell you the truth, my heart's in the right place. What matters to me in another human being being a part of my life and knowing them has nothing to do with what's in their blood. Has to do with them how honest they are, how kind and understanding they are. Can that be measured in DNA? Can that be measured in your blood? If it can, let me know. in the comments or whatever. But, what was that little children-friendly cuss word that I did the other day? Grape soda. Oh, grape soda. I used to tell my kids, it don't matter what you say. Because as soon as you tell kids, don't say that, they're going to want to say it. Except for some reason, Ginger won't use any bad language. None. She doesn't even like to use the word ugly. She don't like to use the word fat or even obese. Which is not really like making fun of somebody. It's a condition. It's a eating disorder. And I've never like made fun of people. When I see people that have too much weight, like even myself, the doctor has said that I'm obese. You probably are like, well, you've seen me here and there, you know, and since the pandemic, I've gained some of my weight back. So I know how hard it is to lose weight. I used to be pretty close to 300 pounds. I always just say 300 pounds just to round it off. Because I probably had my shoes off that day. I last remember weighing 299. Me. At the time I was 5'3". Now I'm 5'2". I might even have been losing some more inches, but I'm gaining weight. Ginger just thinks it's so funny that she's taller than me. A lot taller than me. She was making fun of me today wearing this hat walking around the house because it's a pointy hat. She called it a top hat. She was like, you know, when you're wearing your top hat, you come up to this or that. I was like, it's not a top hat in case. See my little point? I guess I could wear it this way. But I kind of like wearing it so that the point kind of curves to the back a little bit. But when you see it on me around, you know, here, then you see that it's got a point. She just misspoke. But yeah, Ginger don't like using any kind of cuss words at all. She don't like it. That's okay. I've never scolded her. But when she first started going off to kindergarten, I told her, you might hear some of the words that we use around here, your mom and I, and other people say, but you should not say those things at school. Promise me you won't say those things at school, because the teachers won't like it. Okay, Grandma, she'd say, and then she'd go off to school, and she just never used those words. Never. Well, whatever's in her that's telling her not to use those words was in me to tell me not to use certain words too. The bad racial words that people used back in those days. And so that's just how it is. People got things in their system, whatever you want to call it, wherever it is, if it's in your mind, if it's in your brain, wherever it is, it might be in your spirit. Your spirit's telling you. You've been an African American people, so don't say bad things about them. You've been a Native American person, so don't say bad things about them. I must have been a lot of different kind of folks back in those days, different years, different parts of my life. Because I'm pretty sure I had Hindu, Indian, also from India. Because one time we was having in about the 5th grade, the teacher was having a movie on the TV. It was not on the TV. I'm sorry. Oh, it was one of those reel to reels, one of those real old movies. Anyways, it was about Mahatma Gandhi, and everybody in the class, when they saw him, little man sitting there, and his wrappings that he had, and I don't know to this day what they're called, because the teacher had to tell everybody to stop laughing, because I stood up and I said, "Stop laughing." I thought it was terrible. I just thought he was a wonderful little man sitting there talking about being peaceful and stuff. I was trying to listen to it. I think I'm going to have to get another wire. This one, I'm having trouble with it. See what it's doing? Hold it still for a minute. And get my background piece of material here. See? The wire is twisting here. And skipping a whole bunch. It's not going round and round like it was anymore. So, oh well. You just live and you learn. It's not like I'm just going to give up. But I know from using this kind of wire, the more you kind of turn it and twist it and bend it and stuff, sooner or later it's going to give out and break. So if I unwind this, eventually maybe it's going to break. And I don't know how other people are doing this. Maybe they're using that string and kind of wrapping it around. I'm just going to put this off in the lid and take it off. So it's been real nice talking to all of you folks out there. Do your best. If you don't know what term or name, even a name of somebody, if you don't know their name or how to pronounce it, just ask them. Just say, "I'm sorry, but I don't know how to pronounce your name. Could you help me with that?" Or, what would you prefer to be called? I mean, if you were to, because I used to have trouble asking someone, what, I didn't like to say, "What are you?" or stuff like that. I would just say, where were you born? And then they would say, "Here in California," or somewhere in the United States. And I would say, "Well, where was your family originally from?" Or where because I didn't know how to put it and how to ask it without it sounding racist. I was always trying to be politically correct, and nice to people. I don't know what happened here, why it did this. But I'm going to figure it out, and then I'm going to start on some other project. I only lost one piece of wire. It's all kinked up now, so it's hard to use. Yeah, here we go, this way. I don't know what I did wrong, that it's not doing the right thing. I'm just getting beads all over the place. Well, you don't know till you know. You don't know till you experience it. Try it out. You need to try it out. You're like, oh, okay. Either you continue to do it or you stop doing it. I think it might work better with the thread. What do you think? But it still gives me the, what am I going to do with these rings? Because they're so plain. And I don't know if, what some people do. So I might look up and see what other people do and try to figure out what are people doing with these hoops when they decorate them. You know, how are they doing it? So don't be a racist, okay? You don't have to not know about somebody. Check it out, look it up, find out what you can, and then ask somebody. I think if I was going to ask somebody now, I would say, I'm trying to learn more about different cultures. What race are you? What culture do you practice? What culture do you come from? Or, you know, something like that. Just ask. So many times people have just not understood that I am Native American. And because my daughter got such a low rating, in fact, it almost just said there was just something else that they just couldn't. I guess there was something else they couldn't figure out. What was it? I don't know. Butterfly or something. So, we are what we are. In our bodies, that wasn't, you know, we didn't create ourselves. So you can't be upset with nobody for what race they are. Oh, one thing I'm just asking out here in the public, if anybody knows of a lady who she would be about my age, 61, who used to live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and her first name was Karen and her last name was Robinson, and that's basically it. Back in those days, she wore an afro, and she was also a model, like for a clothes catalog, at one point when she was younger. So, but I forgot which one. I think maybe like J.C. Penney's or something like that. That's probably gone out now. I don't know. I can't remember the name of the school that she went to. Terrible, huh? Can't even remember the name of the teacher that I had that sent me on that journey to get to know the first, and she wasn't the last, African American person to come into my life. I can't help it if some people don't like me. I'm not going to go up to people and say, well, I want to be your friend because you're black, or I want to be your friend because you're Japanese, or I want to be your friend because you're Chinese. It's just that right now, it's not a good time to go out and make friends with anybody because of COVID. So, but all my life, I've had different kinds of friends. I've had different, friends from all different, around different parts of the world. I don't have no problem being friends with people. Okay? So, you want to be my friend, then be my friend. If you don't, it's okay. But don't dislike people because of what they're made up of, what they look like on the outside. I've been noticing a lot of people with different abilities. Some are born with Down syndrome. And back in the day, my day when I was a kid, they used to be called something else. It was terrible. And then there was called something else too after that. And they just kept, people just kept saying, well, that's not really true. They're not, it's not that. No, that's not what we should be calling them. So it takes time to find, I guess, sometimes the right phrase or name to call somebody. And just say, well, if you do call somebody something and you didn't mean to hurt them, that just may be like me. I've been told back in the day that they would call something else. And nowadays, it's totally wrong to say those kind of things. So you need to keep up on your labels and language and stuff like that, because you don't want to say something that offends somebody and just say, well, I'm sorry, but back in my day we used to call people that all the time, and it's just the way it was. Nobody cared. Somewhere along the way somebody cared and they changed it. So now they are called people that are born with Down syndrome. That's what it's called. And so far it doesn't seem to be offending anybody, so I guess they're sticking with that, which is fine. But the thing is, what I'm noticing, have you been noticing too, on Instagram or TikTok a lot? People of different, not just racial backgrounds, but physical capabilities and stuff are coming out, getting online and talking about their disability. I call it differability, because disability seems like something that you're unable, you're disabled, you're unable to do something. So I started using in my life, whenever I talk about my disabilities, I say differ, like difference, differability. Because you have a different ability to do something. But I'm seeing blind people. I'm seeing ASL coming on. I'm seeing people with Down syndrome. I'm seeing people with facial deformities. I'm seeing people with different gender preferences. There's just all kinds. It's almost like somebody just said, hey, come on out. This is what we're doing. We're making ourselves heard. So maybe it took, sometimes when something so terribly is wrong, like the justice system we have in America, that puts a knee on another man's neck and kills him in front of everybody, and they just walk away. Okay? Wrong. Just wrong. So when there's something that wrong, we got to stop it. And so maybe something good came out of that and started opening doors and windows and everything, where people are just coming out, pouring out and saying, here I am. Here's some of the questions that I get asked that are just terrible, and I don't like it. Have you seen some of them TikToks? Well, if I knew how to do TikTok, I would do it. But one thing that I don't like, that people have told me, if I get a little bit too anxious or upset, they say I'm crazy, and that's not a good thing to call me. I'm not crazy. If you knew me, and if you knew why I have some of the issues I got, maybe you would just be quiet and take your foot out of your mouth. Because I'm standing up here today after a lot of stuff. A lot of bad stuff has happened to me. And I'm okay. I'm able to, even though I don't see the person behind the screen right now, I know that a few people out there will be watching. So you should watch, listen to what other people have to say, because we're not all perfect. We're not all pure blood. We're not all perfect. We all got something. We all got something that's people just don't know everything about, you know? Like I got issues and stuff that people don't know about. But some people do. Some of my friends out there know some of the issues that I've talked about. I'm just not talking about them all here now today, but I might do one. And in that case, I would have to put that it's not okay for children to look into, and then nobody can make comments. Have you seen that on YouTube lately? That people don't, if you put an age, like this is okay for children, but don't suppress the age or whatever it says, you know. Okay, I'm trying to find all the little beads on here. So, you know what I mean? So, yeah. If I put out that this is for adults only, then just adults age can listen to it. And if I put that it shouldn't be seen by children, and nobody can reply to it or make comments, because I noticed that one time. Well, okay, this didn't work out, but I'm gonna find something. And you know how some people maybe are putting it on this way. Not these little beads, though. Let me see. Here's this one and this one here. Maybe they're putting it on this way. Come on. Oh no. It would have to be a real big bead to go on this way. Nope. That's not gonna do it. Well, like I said, I kind of don't like these. I like hoops, but I've had hoops that were on these hooks before, like that. So, I'm just not too sure what I'm going to do with these. But I'll figure it out. It's not like a big, major, important thing right now. So, okay. The time's ticking there. I love y'all. Now, some people have kind of wondered about my merch and how come I haven't put out any merch. That's not really all what I'm here for. I'm not here to make merch and be popular. Although I do see some people out there do put out videos and stuff, and they put out a P.O. box, and next thing you know, people are just sending them stuff like crazy. I'm like, okay. All right, before you believe anything stupid, do some research on it. Don't just listen, like even just to me. I say stuff all the time that may or may not be 100% in the up and up. So if you hear something that anybody has said, before you give it this power of being so wonderful, you got to follow it and do it. Look it up. Because I'll tell you one thing. How could anybody think that the Jewish people made a laser that burnt California? Some people out there smoking some, what do you call it, wacky tobacco or something. Oh, and mixing it maybe with your psych medicines or other kind of medicines. Y'all need to stop. Some just need to stop because that did not happen. All right, I gotta go see what those dogs are barking about.